There's only two things that matter in the process of buying and selling real estate, and today we're going to talk about both of them in detail. So take a step back and really think about any scenario in real estate, and more than likely it falls in one of these two buckets: motivation or leverage. Maybe it's price. Oh, we got a bucket for that. Maybe it's location. Oh, we got a price for that. So today we're going to talk about both of them in detail. So the first one we're going to talk about is motivation. The motivation bucket. Do you need to buy? Do you not need to buy? If I do buy, I can stay here. If I don't buy, I can stay here. That's all in the motivation bucket for needing to buy. And both of these things tie back to each other very often. If you can have the right motivation with the right leverage, there's a high probability you could probably get a good deal on a property. So in the motivation bucket, do you need to buy? And if so, okay, there's more motivation going down the list. Size, if it's big, like 3,000 square feet, that's cool. But if it's not, we're okay with that. You got motivation. Maybe you're not extremely motivated you need 3,000 square feet, but that can also help you in leverage and price and negotiation, all that stuff. So now hopefully you're starting to understand these two buckets, how they play hand in hand. We're going to keep going. So location, I'm moving. I just got a new job. I'm leaving the city. I'm going to a different one. Motivation. So you might need to sell, which your leverage may or may not be good on that side in terms of price. So now we're really starting to get it. And style, if it's a ranch house, that's amazing. If it's not, we're really open to anything. Okay, so your motivation is there, and now your leverage when it comes to price in terms of negotiations, you could be more willing, and maybe you don't have to put in the extreme strongest answer because your motivation for a style isn't really there. So now you might be good on the leverage side as well. And this goes both sides, buying and selling. Let's roll it back on the selling side now. Do I need to sell? If I sell, if I get it for this price point, that's amazing. If not, we can go a little bit longer. Motivation and leverage, they both tying together for do I need to sell and the price point that couples along with it. Okay, and closing date, like school's starting soon, the next couple of weeks, in the next month or so, we need to get in a house ASAP. Your motivation is, okay, we really need to go, we really need to buy a house. So your leverage in that scenario, in the terms of price, terms, negotiation, we're going to talk about a little bit, may not be the best, favoring towards your side, but maybe it may be okay, depending on the selling side, on their motivation and leverage. Okay? And features, if it has a fence, that's amazing. Or, we need a fence. We have dogs, 3 dogs. We just want a fence in the backyard for the animals, for kids to play around. That's a huge need for us. We now understand our motivation. Now we may understand our leverage in a contract scenario. Okay, so I think it's starting to make sense for if you're watching this video. Hopefully it does. If you need to rewind back a little bit, go ahead and do so. Now we're starting to understand the motivation side and a little bit of sprinkling in the leverage. So now let's talk about leverage. Okay, so now our motivation, we're going to talk about price first. So now our motivation is, okay, we need to buy. So our price in the leverage scenario, if we're going to buy a house, may have to be at asking, maybe a little bit above, and the terms may be favorable to the opposite side because our motivation is we need to buy, so our price in correlation may not be favorable to our side. Terms. So maybe the terms is the inspection, go through all that stuff, and the closing date, I actually correlated this because they're really huge. The terms, that's huge in your motivation, leverage. Now this is a big one. This is a huge one. I should almost circle this one. That's what I'm going to do. So negotiations. This is very, very crucial on motivation and leverage. I'm going to explain. I'm probably going to make a video on this in detail. So with negotiations, so let's just say we run through an inspection. We're going to talk about from the buyer's point of view. Our motivation as a buyer is, the house is pretty cool, but if we have to walk away from something in the inspection, we're okay with losing the house. That's okay. Now, our negotiation is, something came up with the inspection, Mr. Seller, we're okay. We're if you fix it, that's absolutely amazing. But if not, we're okay. We'll walk away. On the flip side, the seller's leverage and motivation could be the seller could be, oh gosh, we have to leave. We can't put this thing back in the market. We don't have time. We need this thing sold. So they might do everything that they ask when it comes in the terms of negotiation. For example, the inspection. No. Well, it's okay. We'll give you a big credit for that. $2,000 credit. That's okay. We'll cover it. We feel bad. Now you're starting to understand that leverage and motivation is huge, and that's just one scenario. I didn't put appraisal in here. That's another scenario. Maybe the seller's leverage and motivation is, you know what? Hey man, we offered a high price for our house, and also, the appraisal came in low, Mr. Buyer. We're not going to budge. So if you want it that bad, you can go ahead and split the difference. The buyer could really, really want this thing and fork over the extra money, and if not, the seller could say, you know what? Yeah, that's okay. We'll wait. We'll find a buyer that fits our needs, because our motivation is, if it sells at this price point, amazing. But we're willing to walk away unless we'll find a buyer that can purchase our price. Because like you said, if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So that's one scenario. And let's talk about closing date, which also what I did was I had both of these connected, because closing date is really huge. Like maybe the buyer, needs school to happen. School's starting soon. We need the closing date to happen. So now the buyer's motivation is they need to buy because of closing date, and the leverage they have in that bucket is, who knows if they'll get the best terms and condition because so. So that's something to think about. And next is commission. Maybe the seller is not having a lot of traction. They're not paying that much in commission or none at all. And they need this thing to sell. So their motivation is starting to dwindle. Like, okay, we need to start selling this thing. And you have an agent come by with their buyer and say, you know what? Well, hey, our motivation is if we get this thing, amazing. If we don't, we're cool with it. But we want the agent to be compensated. So in that scenario, the seller could be like, oh, you know what? We need this thing to sell. He can have his money. Let's just get this thing done. Because the buyer is willing to walk away, but the seller doesn't want him to walk away, so they'll do what needs to be done. Hopefully that makes sense. A commission and offers. I probably should put this one up first, up top, because if you have a lot of buyers, if you're selling a house, you have a lot of leverage, and also means that your motivation and leverage buckets could be extremely well in your favor, and how you look at terms and negotiations on the flip side is very, very important. So hopefully you guys learned something in this video. If you want me to dive deep into detail about a certain topic, like for example, leverage, closing date, I'll go ahead and do so. But thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on any other platform, like and follow. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Bye.